And we're live. Hi, everybody. We'll be recording a podcast in a couple of minutes. But for right now, Earth Defense Force 2017. The Earth Defense Forciest of all the Earth Defense Force games. And that's saying something, because Earth Defense Force 3 was pretty Earth Defense Forcey. I only say very dumb things. I see, Phoenix. Hey, Maddie. Alright. I'm incapable of guessing. It could be literally anything. Well, not literally. It could be figuratively anything. I don't like people who are like, we don't have a word for literally anymore. In reality, actually, verifiably, truly, like, we have other words. Young people using the term literally wrong hasn't made it impossible to describe whether things have actually happened. The very fact that I can talk about whether things have actually happened means it's capable of... it is... What do you call it? It is capable to describe that things have actually happened. That is a weird thing to obsess over, but I just don't like it when people overreact about the changing use of language. Because you know what? Language always changes. I don't like that fishes is in the dictionary. For me, the term fish will always be a noun that is both singular and plural. You know what? People say fishes, and I'm not allowed to object to that, because that's just how language works. Even if it does, feel like an abhorrent dumbing down of everything. Oh, excuse me. So, I hope everybody's feeling well. You're probably going to be feeling better than me in any event. I seem to have developed a slight bug. You see, that's funny because there are bugs in the game Earth Defense Force. I mean, it's not actually funny, but it is a play on words. Play on words aren't in and of themselves necessarily funny. I'm not asking for free passes. Wow, that actually looks pretty good. I'm not asking for a free pass is what I'm saying. It's okay to acknowledge that that wasn't funny at all. Okay, what are we doing? Yeah, one problem with that homing weapon I was using, it's really difficult to remember. It locks on, then it locks on really well, and you're like, what monster am I locked onto? I have no idea. Oh, well, this time I was able to see him. It does not start aiming. Sorry, it does not start its homing process until it's like 50 meters from where you fired it, so you kind of always have to fire it into the air, and it's not actually good to use in... Come on, there we go. Dense areas, because it will normally hit a building rather than the guy you're aiming it at. Not a big problem. It's still a deeply cool weapon, don't get me wrong. I'm now using a power pack so fast that I continue building energy back up even while I'm reloading a weapon. So that's pretty good. No, I don't want to shoot that one guy. I have, bigger prey in mind. Again, I'm not guessing, Maddie, so if you have news, just let me know. I'm famously, well, not famously, I'm not famous for anything, but it is a fact about me that I'm terrible at guessing. Perhaps the worst at guessing. I'm always happy to hear people's news, but I'll never guess it right, so there's no point in asking me to do so. I'm going to say, you got a tank? See, that's the best I can do. Not a good guess. Alright, we're going to be joined by DM in a few minutes. Then we're going to record an episode of the AVOD live on the HOGuru stream. That sadly means no Obra Dinn tonight. Which is great. Obra Dinn, I love it so much. I would love to be back to it, but we're going to have to save that till tomorrow, where we find out what the whole mermaid situation is. I'm not sure, but I have a good sense that flashing beacon, now that we've gotten down onto rowboats next to the water, right? I have a feeling that the flashing beacon in the distance is going to be a location we go to in order to, what do you call it? In order to find out where the, there we go. In order to figure out where the calling happened, where they summoned the mermaids, where they captured them, blah, 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 blah. You know, where they caused all of the problems for the boat. And honestly, what is the captain thinking in all this? Like, his second mate murders a guy to steal a shell, to kidnap some Formosans, to summon some mermaids, to steal their jewelry, and they all get back, and then the captain's like, yep, this seems fine. I'll just take these mermaids down into the hold of my ship. What can possibly go awry? And the answer is, everybody gets killed by spider crabs. Which, by the way, in case you didn't know this, spider crabs are a real thing. They seem pretty freaky, and they seem pretty monstrously, fictional. Like, there's no way there's something as abhorrent in real life as the spider crab. But no, that's a real thing. There are crabs with long, spindly spider legs. They only live deep, deep underwater, and they're horrifying and monstrous. So yeah, spy crabs. A real, completely nightmarish thing. Okay, so where are we here? I'm just, I don't know that I'm ever going to finish Earth Defense Force, because, you know, it's huge. 2,000 missions to complete if you want to fix it. And you can say, well, technically speaking, 660 of those. Wait, 660 times 4. So 2,000 of those are optional. Because, there we go. Not 2,000, it's 2,000 missions. No, I had it right the first time. 660 of those missions are optional because you can do, if you play all the missions on hard, then it automatically completes it for easy and, normal as well. Here we go. I did not know that, Hans. Bonjour! How you doing, DM?
Pretty good.
Say hi to the stream. This is the last time we're going to be interacting with them.
Hi, stream.
See? All right. Sorry, stream. I got to focus on the record now, so I am turning off your ability to talk to me. If you want to check out a recording of the AVOD, that's going to be happening now. But if you just want to watch it later, you can do that too. We are going to keep... Yep.
Can't they talk to each other?
Oh, they can talk to each other about what's happening. Sure. I'm just saying they're not going to have me responding.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not. You and I aren't going to be interacting with them the way we normally do. Mm-hmm. Let's just do an audio test, and there will still be Earth Defense Force to watch. I'm not a monster. The stream misses you, especially Maddie. And apparently, I have messed up Hans's sleep with my weird times of broadcasting. I'm not a reliable person, is the message. Well, you're going to be back for the Slasher VR experience soon, so that should be fun. And then after that, Resident Evil 2 is coming out, so I'm sure you're going to want to check that out. It's very exciting.
Stuff coming up.
Plenty of stuff coming up. So, do you have any random crap you want to talk about on the show? As always, I've got video games.
What have I watched that's worth talking about? I'm going to say no.
Okay. Do you have a list?
Of course I have a list.
What am I saying? Of course she's got a list. Why would you not have a list? Mm-hmm. All right, so let's just test how we sound. Delicious water. Truly the wettest treat. Okay. Boop. Stop recording. Okay. Be back in 1 second, everybody. Just going to check this out on the old record Motron. Okay. And apparently, yeah, I sound fine.
What have I watched that's worth talking
You also sound fine. All right. So let me know when you were good to go, and we're going to get this done.
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty well good to go.
All right, perfect. I will start the recorder, check that the file exists, and then we'll be off and running. All right, recorder is live. file exists. And I'm opening up the screen if people want to see this. So I'll give you 5 seconds, then we'll get going. This is embarrassing. I forgot to close down your little the little mini image that pops up when I minimize. Oh. Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's a good picture. You got that awesome picture of you where all of the people are in the ski goggles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great picture.
Great picture.
No, totally. If I had a single picture that good, all of my profile pictures wouldn't be blank. All right. 5 seconds. Greetings and welcome to the AVOD. I'm Count Varjalon.
I'm DM.
And tonight, horror, Canadian style.
Also Austrian.
Also Austrian style, but you know, mostly I want to focus on the Canadian style. It's the important one to focus on, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's get to it. But first, we have some random crap to address. Let's take a look at a video game that I want people to check out. Now, I've actually mentioned this on the show before. It's called Return of the Obra Dinn. I mentioned this once to you. I think it came up on the show. It's the game where you're playing a guy who's a detective trying to figure out what happened on a missing sailboat in, like, the 18th century.
I do not remember.
Totally fine. The big hook of the game is the graphics are very modern, but it's like from an alternate dimension where monitor technology never improved. So though there's lots of very detailed and complex images, it's all being rendered in 2 colors. Yeah, it's a very interesting technique. The game looks beautiful. It's wonderful. Last time I was here, I'm just like, it's a great detective game. It's got a really interesting visual conceit. I'm very happy with the experience. I've gone back to the game now in the new year, and I just want to tell you that I have to triple or quadruple my requirement that you play this game.
Oh, okay.
Let's just say that I thought it was about a murder mystery on a boat, because that is what the first 2-3 hours of the game make you think it's about. It is not about a murder mystery on a boat. Because you see, I get through like 2 hours of the game, and then, murder mystery on a boat, murder mystery on a boat. Then, Kraken attack.
Whoa.
I'm like, whoa, a bunch of people got killed by a Kraken? What the hell is this? And then, I'm not going to spoil anything. I want to remind everybody to check it out over the Hidden Object Guru channel. There's some videos if you want to get a glimpse of it. But a Kraken attack is the least weird thing that happened on that boat. Things get bad fast, and it's amazing. I'm not going to reveal anything more. I'm only halfway through it, but wow, is this thing crazy. So yeah, Return of the Obra Dinn. It looks weird, it's got great gameplay, but more importantly, it is a fascinating horror story that everyone should check out. And that's all I'm going to say about that. If you liked the terror, you will love Return of the Obra Dinn. That is my big pitch. Okay, I seem to have lost DM. Alright, her mic just crapped out. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Hello?
We're back. Or I can hear you.
Okay, that's weird. All of a sudden, my headset stopped working.
Totally fine. It can happen to the best of us. The best of us being me, who often has audio troubles. No, let's take a second, make sure it's still working. Then,
okay. It appears to be working now.
Alright, so let's put in a 10-second gap so I can edit out later. And then I ended it with my big recommendation. So just do your whatever kind of positive about Obra Dinn thing, and then we'll get right back into lists.
Well, it turns out I actually do have random crap.
Oh, you do have random crap. Okay, so I will say whatever you're going to say about Obra Dinn, or my recommendation, and then what do you want me to queue up? Did you watch a movie, TV show, book?
Book.
All right, so 10 seconds, do your thing, and then I'll segue a book.
Well, I like a good boat mystery as much as the next person, so sounds cool.
Okay, I've got to get you more into this thing. I understand you read a book recently?
I did read a book recently.
Ooh.
I know. Well, because I have the romance podcast, so a lot of my time is taken up with reading these terrible romance novels. So when I get to read a book for fun, for me, it's a big deal.
That's true.
And I took advantage of our little break to read The Deep by Nick Cutter.
I have not heard of this book. When you said The Deep, I'm like, didn't Peter Benchley write a book called The Deep?
Did he?
I think he did. I know it's a
Anyway.
popular title. Anyway, The Deep, Nick Cutter. Go.
Yeah. So, well, if you remember, I read The Troop by Nick Cutter.
You did.
And I thought it was amazing and really disgusting and all that good stuff. And so The Deep is... There's some really gross stuff. It's really weird. Like, it's kind of... You sort of hit the ground running with just weird shit happening. It's this guy... So there's this... Oh, I'm going to do such a bad job describing this.
Okay.
Summarizing this.
Do your best. That's all I'm asking.
So, mankind has been hit with this disease called the Gets, in which the afflicted slowly start forgetting things.
Oh.
And it starts off small with minor stuff, and eventually you just kind of forget how to be alive, and you die.
Damn.
And so the population is being ravaged by this disease, and this discovery has been made. There's this goo at the bottom of the ocean.
Cures it right away.
Well, it might.
Okay.
So all the countries of the world have pooled their resources and have built a station at the bottom of the Mariana Trench in the Challenger Deep.
Ooh.
And a little while ago, the station lost contact with the scientists down there. So they get this guy who's the brother of one of the scientists to go down to the station.
A Jason Statham type.
Yes, find out what the hell's going on. And so the book begins with him traveling to the station. And so part of the book is what's happening on the station, and the part of the book is just this guy's like growing up with his brother.
Okay.
And as soon as he gets to the station, weird shit starts happening right away. So there's like a lot of really strange stuff, some gross stuff, a really, really upsetting part. Again, that has to do with an animal. I had to skip it in The Troop. I read it in The Deep. I cried. It was really sad.
Oh.
But yeah, good book.
Okay, and you read the whole book.
I read the whole book, yeah.
Sometimes you report on them and you're not done, and
No.
you don't know if the ending's any good.
I finished it this time. I finished the book. Yes, this isn't me getting overexcited, only having read half of it.
That's happened once or twice, and then you've come back and apologized for an ending.
I have done that, yes.
Okay, so it's called The Deep, and it's not the sequel to The Troop, but it's just as good.
Correct.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, next up, I believe you have a list for us.
Of course I have a list.
Fantastic.
So, this week's list is the 10 best and worst movies featuring archaeologists.
Oh, nice.
Which is, I'm surprised we haven't actually done anything like this before, because we've seen movies with archaeologists in them.
Yeah, it's weird that we haven't gotten to this. Here's my question. Do they mean like 5 good and 5 bad, or 10 good and 10 bad?
Well, because I previewed the list, and it's a little unclear to me. Because some of them I'm like, okay, obviously this is really bad.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, I don't know if you think this is bad or good.
I am very excited to hear this list suddenly.
Okay, so it starts...
To the fact that we have to try and decipher the list. That's rare. That is rare.
It starts at number 1.
Okay.
But the movie entries each have their own little title.
Okay.
So number 1 is the original. So I guess the first movie with an archaeologist.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I suppose. So we're starting with The Mummy from 1932.
Right. That makes sense. And that's a pretty good movie.
I've not seen it.
I have. Way back in the day, I remember enjoying it and being mildly creeped out. But I have not seen it in more than 20 years, so I cannot confirm that it is, in fact, good.
Oh, okay.
Next up.
Next is The Most Famous. Can you guess
Raiders of the Lost Ark, obviously.
Nope.
That's not the most famous movie to feature an archaeologist.
It's apparently The Exorcist.
No! That is far from the most famous movie to feature an archaeologist. Yes, there's archaeology in the movie, but that is not the most famous movie about archaeology.
It says here it's probably the most famous horror movie of all
Oh,
time.
is this just horror movies?
But it's not, though. Oh, no,
Oh.
maybe it is.
Sorry, this
Well,
is just horror movies. Okay.
I wouldn't consider, there's one coming up, and I'm like, that's not a horror movie.
Okay. All right, all right. Yeah, because if this is
Uh-oh.
just horror movies, then that's fine that The Exorcist is the most famous horror movie with archaeology in it. But if
Yeah.
it's not horror movies, then no, that's crazy. All right, keep going.
Okay, number 3, the most recent, as of the making of this list,
I would imagine, yeah.
which is As Above, So Below.
You might as well say the thing that inspired us to make this list. Yeah, this is definitely a horror movie.
I don't remember her being an archaeologist.
No, they're archaeologists because they're searching for like secret chambers under the. Don't you remember? She starts the movie in like Baghdad and finding.
She's a historian.
No, I think it's archaeology. Although she is just searching for like secret chambers. No, but I think there's a close enough. Mm. Yeah, that's tough. Is she a historian? Is she an archaeologist? Because it's not like they're doing digs. She's just looking for secret chambers under the Paris catacombs. I don't know if that does. I mean, you're the archaeologist. You tell me whether that qualifies. Why am I trying to weigh in on this?
Well, no, I mean, this is from a site called Dig Ventures. I would expect them to know whether or not the character's an archaeologist. So I guess we're going to go with archaeologist, even
Okay.
though I really don't remember one way or the other.
Although 50-50 Dig Ventures, there's a good chance that like a freelance writer just pitched them this story and they published it for $50 and
That's
didn't,
true.
and just so they would have something to put on the front page. Like, I don't know that this list was peer reviewed, is what I'm trying to say.
Maybe not.
All right.
Okay, number 4, the one with the big explosion. Are
Okay.
you ready for this?
Of course.
Stonehenge Apocalypse.
Oh, I loved Stonehenge Apocalypse so
Not a horror
much.
movie.
Well, I mean, it's a
Sci-fi.
sci-fi original channel disaster movie, and I think they're saying that's close enough. By the way, if you ever want to see the worst like attempts to match CG to existing footage you will ever see in your life, oh my god! Like, guys, someone told them that they could have a moving camera and they would still be able to do the CG, and the person who told them that was lying. Because every time the camera is moving, the amount the grass below is turning to the amount the Stonehenge rocks are turning don't match at all, and they often seem to be hovering in midair. It looks amazing.
And it stars Misha Collins.
And it stars Misha Collins, who's everybody's
Oh,
favorite. No, everybody loves
More
Misha Collins.
want.
The star of the TV show 24. That's right, he was on 24 in the first season.
Wow.
Yeah, I was rewatching 24 and I'm like, that's Misha Collins! What?
I only watched most of, I think, the 6th season.
That was one of their worst seasons, so
Well,
you did not
whatever
have a...
season had Julian Sands in it, that's the one I watched.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was either 5 or 6.
It's
And
5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah. And Julian Sands is so entertaining, but
Always.
it was not the
Julian
best
Sands.
season of the show. Weirdly,
care.
it just having to do with this list, the best season of the show, do you know who the villain was?
Ew.
The Mummy, Arnold Vosloo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the villain in the best season of 24. The season it won the best drama Emmy.
Oh.
Entirely on the
that?
strength of his performance. It was pretty great. Okay, next up.
Number 5, the one with Vinnie Jones.
I have no idea what this is.
It's called Legend of the Bog.
I've never heard of this.
I don't know what this is.
Yeah, okay, so it is horror movies. They just got confused about what Stonehenge Apocalypse was, and do they have a write-up for Legend of the Bog, or?
Yeah, reanimated bog body.
Ooh.
Vinnie Jones trying to hunt it down with a shotgun.
I mean, that sounds like the kind of thing we would enjoy watching. But,
Says
you know.
here, in this action-packed Irish thriller, 2 archaeologists, a professor and his pupil, who both happen to be experts on bog bodies, get lost on the way to a nearby excavation and stumble upon Vinnie's remote cabin where they spend the night. Why has the bog body awoken? Are the archaeologists hiding something, or are they there to save the day? Soon they're trapped at the center of the brutal battle between Vinnie and the vengeful bog body. Why is it so unusual that they're bog body experts if they're in a bog?
That's not strange
on
at
their way
all.
to a site in
That
a
is
bog?
That is where I would most expect to find them. So here's my question about this. So bog bodies are where there was a corpse and it was like so far down in the peat that there was no oxygen and
Yes.
so the bacteria couldn't decompose it, right?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, so every now and then they find like a 6,000-year-old like completely fine corpse.
Yes.
Neat. I could see why you would want to make a movie about that.
Right?
That sounds like a really cool idea. And it's
I'm
called
assuming this guy,
The Bog?
the body is upset because he was sacrificed to the bog without having choosing to do so, because the idea is that these bog bodies were willing sacrifices.
I did not know that.
And I'm imagining this in this movie, he was not a willing sacrifice.
Whereas I was going to assume that Vinnie Jones, in a twist, turns out to be a demon or a Highlander, and he's the guy who killed the bog monster way back when, and now he's just out for one-on-one revenge.
Maybe.
That's probably it. We're probably going to have to watch the movie to find out.
Legend of the Bog.
It'd just be great if, like, one time a guy just turns out, oh, by the way, this character's a Highlander. What? I'm thinking about this now because I just watched an episode of Murder, She Wrote where the victim was a vampire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's like, and it turns out at the end, oh yeah, he was a vampire. He'd lived in Cabot Cove for like 200 years.
Wow.
And just some random guy killed him to cover up a murder. It was a weird episode of Murder, She Wrote. Next on the list.
Number 6, the one with the most cats.
I can't guess what this is. What is it?
It's called Demonia.
I've never heard of this. I assume it's about a lady demon.
In 1498, 5 nuns were brutally murdered and crucified by a mob of angry Sicilian villagers.
Okay.
500 years later, along comes Paul Evans, the world's most arrogant archaeology professor, and his superstitious pupil Liza. They're here to look for Greek relics, but obviously Liza just can't help but enter the long-sealed medieval convent nearby and unleash the nuns' demonic spirits and a string of disgusting deaths.
Wow. I mean, that sounds like fun. Is that like a back in the day Italian horror movie, or is this a modern movie?
1980.
Oh, okay. So back in the day,
yeah.
not all the way Italian horror, but that sounds cool.
But yeah, reaching, I guess, kind of the end of that era.
Yeah. That could be
So,
fun.
It could be, like, just over-the-top ridiculous and way too long.
Oh, yeah. And almost certainly just completely full of nudity. Just
Well,
100%
yes.
constant
I
nudity.
mean, that just goes without saying.
It's Italian horror. That's just what they did. Okay, next up.
Number 7, the one with the tourists.
Is this the... I was going to say, is this the Ruins? Is that what that book was called?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
I assume that's the one about the tourists. Yeah, and isn't it weird that that's from a novel by the same guy who wrote A Simple Plan?
Really?
Yeah, same guy wrote both of those books.
Huh.
It's
Wow.
really weird. But anyway.
Yeah, but have you read the books or just seen the movies?
I've just seen the movies. I'm just saying subject matter-wise. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking writing style or ability to like get a book deal. I'm just saying subject matter.
Well, that's fine.
That being said, Stephen King did write a lot of really varied stuff. So
Why does an author have to be locked in?
so many of them are, is all I'm saying. All I'm
Really?
saying is plenty of authors are to the point where it's weird when it doesn't happen.
I don't
But
know, I think it's weird when it does
Scott, what's
happen.
his name?
Write what you want, honestly.
Absolutely, people. Write what you want. Anything you want. I'm not here to box you in. All right. What's up next?
Number 8, the one that's the most French.
I have no idea what this is.
Brocéliande?
Okay, well, I really don't know what this is.
Archaeology student Chloe joins an excavation in the legendary French forest. According to myth, it's the burial site of King Arthur and Merlin. Sounds idyllic. But soon after their arrival, a series of murders begins to thin the ranks of the diggers. Turns out a vicious pagan beast is on the loose, and it's down to Chloe to rack her brains for that obscure bit of pagan lore that will save her from ending up on the rack.
Yay! That sounds like fun.
Okay.
All right, and the big one, number 9.
Well, there's
This is a list out of 9, right? I'm kidding. No, I know what it is.
number 9, the one that's just the most terrible.
Oh. What is it?
It's the Mole People.
I've never heard of this.
Me neither. It's
Okay.
from 1956.
That would be why we've never heard of it.
Okay. And number 10, the one where archaeology actually saves the day.
Wow. The Relic?
Hiruko the Goblin.
I was really wrong.
Obviously a Japanese movie.
Yep.
A school built on the gates of hell.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of crazy stuff. None of it is the fault of archaeologist Haida, whose oft-ridiculed theory about the existence of goblins is taken seriously when strange things begin happening at the local school.
Nice. Yeah, okay, well, I hadn't heard of half of these movies, so that doesn't feel great. But at least we did figure out it was just horror movies, so we don't have to feel as bad about the list.
That's right.
No, so it's literally just... You said the 10 best and worst, but they're not evenly... They're not evenly broken down or anything like that.
5 and 5. So I have to... I mean, like, Stonehenge Apocalypse, obviously one of the worst.
Is terrible. And this,
terrible
apparently,
movie.
that other one is terrible, too. But... Because they just say just mold people is awful. But, like, what was he saying about As Above, So Below? Is he saying that's a bad one, or...?
No, I think they like that one.
Okay. You see what I'm saying? That it's really hard to tell what the intent is with a lot of these entries.
It is hard to tell. I'm guessing, like, the Italian one is probably bad. I'm guessing maybe the Ruins was good.
Yeah.
Maybe the French one was good. And
Maybe.
the Japanese one, I don't know.
But they like The Exorcist, obviously. It's The
idea.
Exorcist. I'm saying it's a very unclear list.
Yeah, maybe it's up to us to decide. Maybe someone out there really loves Stonehenge Apocalypse.
Well, then I'll just write the list. If you don't have an intent, an authorial intent, don't use words like best and worst. You're not going to use any kind of a grade, then don't say best. All right, I don't know why this is annoying me so much. Oh, weird story. Did Richard Bachman come up last week?
No.
Okay, don't know. Someone brought... I was just wondering if it came up on the show. Because someone in the past week mentioned the Richard Bachman story to me. And now I'm embarrassed because I thought it was here on the show. All right, well, let's move on. No, the reason I brought it up is I found out that... You know how Richard Bachman got caught, right? After it got talked about, I looked into it. And how he got caught is... Stephen King tried to pass off Thinner as not a Stephen King book. Thinner.
Yeah, I've heard this story.
Okay, good. All right. I thought so. All right, so we actually did watch movies this week, and they are on a theme, and that theme is the wilderness.
Oh, but you don't want to know about what's coming up?
Oh my
first?
God, I forgot to do upcoming horror
Wow.
movies. It's one of those days. It's one of those days. I'm under the weather, and I am bad at things. What's new in the world of horror movies?
Something called The Isle.
Ooh, I assume it's about, like, people getting killed at a movie theater screening? And your microphone's gone again. We are just all kinds of technical issues today. This is the perfect episode for us to have an audience.
Oh, this headset, I'm telling ya.
We got to get you a new microphone is what we got to do.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's I mean, you got a birthday coming up tomorrow.
Yes, I do.
So I'll just go online and get you a new I mean, are you fine with how I sound? Because I can just go get you this exact microphone.
Yeah. Yeah, you sound great.
All right, we'll get you this exact microphone. It's not a headset, so you're gonna have to like put it on a stand, like prop it up or something. But it is good.
Yeah. No, that's fine. No, because I'm using an old headset, and I guess it's just on its last legs.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've had it a few years, right?
Well, for a long time. It was the Gun Wranglers before he gave it to me, and he's hard on his things.
That's true. All right, so let's take 10 seconds again for the for my edit. Then,
where do you want me to come in?
I had just said I assume it's about a.
Oh right, yeah.
And then you should just say no and then correct me. 10 seconds.
Yes, you can hear the A when I pronounce the word aisle.
That's my first guess. My first guess is never ISLE and think it's about an island. But anyway, what is it about?
So, set in 1846 on a remote island off the west coast of Scotland, where 3 survivors from a mysterious sinking of their merchant ship find themselves stranded on a small, misty isle.
Ooh.
That was a mouthful. The isle's 4 sole secretive residents, an old harbor man, a farmer, his niece, and a young mad woman are anything but welcoming and reluctant to aid the sailors back to the mainland. The promise of a boat never materializes, leading one of the sailors to question why people had abandoned the island. That sentence doesn't make sense.
No.
Through his investigation, he discovers that every year around the same date, a tragedy at sea would occur and young men from the island would perish. What? When his two shipmates meet with fatal accidents, the myth of a ghostly siren haunting the island leads him to try and uncover the truth.
Oh,
I feel like I don't need to see the movie.
You've kind of given away way too much with that description.
Right?
Like, this feels like the kind of description you would see at a trade show trying to sell the movie, where it just lays out the entire story of the film.
Yeah.
That's more what it sounds like than a thing to try to get me to watch it. But okay, so there are sirens on the island, and they killed all the people of the island, and now they're luring in new victims. Gotcha. We're not going to watch it. All right. Now, let's move on to things which we did watch, which I'm not going to announce again because I've already humiliated myself enough. Go.
Right. Okay, our first movie tonight is Blood Glacier.
Okay, so this is going to be bad. I hate to do this to you because this is going to screw up the whole show. You watched the wrong movie.
What? No, I didn't.
Look at our chat window and see what the last comment is.
Blood Glacier.
And then after that, you said, no, we should watch the 2 Canadian horror movies set on a mountain. And then you wrote Obscure and Black Mountainside.
No, the last chat is Blood Glacier, both on Prime. Oh, Exposure and Black Mountainside. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I cannot wait to hear about Blood Glacier, and I hope you enjoy hearing about Black Mountains. Exposure.
Oh my god! I can't. This is the first time that's happened.
I've screwed up before. You have never been the one to watch the wrong movie before.
Holy shit, that's funny.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I forgot. So I went to check the chat log.
And you didn't check the last line.
Blood Glacier. Sure. Completely.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Wow.
That happened.
That's amazing.
It really is.
All right.
And for everyone listening to the AVOD for the first time, we're usually more professional than this. Like, this is the first time we've ever tried streaming a recording of the AVOD.
It's a massive screw up.
Constant technical problems, and then somebody watched the wrong movie. Oh, wow.
Okay, so let me tell you about Blood Glacier.
Please.
Scientists in the Alps discover a glacier covered with some kind of red bacteria. A red bacteria that incubates inside the local wildlife, producing weird mutant killer offspring.
Ooh.
Why did I choose the other one?
Black Mountainside?
No.
Obscure. It's because they both had really similar descriptions about people going nuts in the Canadian wilderness.
Damn.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's okay.
Anyway, okay.
Blood Glacier.
Blood Glacier. It's actually not that bad.
Really?
There is a bit of a problem with the subtitling, though.
Ooh.
At least I experienced this. The subtitles are late.
Oh, that's the worst.
But it catches up.
What? It catches up?
So, like, when you get about halfway through the movie, the subtitles are timed properly.
And then by the end, they're early.
No, I thought that might be where we're heading with this, but no.
Okay.
It just catch up
fixes.
and then it's fine.
Weird. That is not something I've seen on Prime before. Huh.
No, it's not that big a deal because there aren't that many people in the movie.
Oh, okay. It's never hard to figure out who's talking.
Doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But essentially it's these geologists. Well, no, they can't all be geologists. Whatever.
They're various scientists working on a glacier.
Working on a glacier, and then there's, like, this one guy who's part of the team. He kind of takes care of all the equipment and stuff.
Right.
And he's the main character, and he's really hard to get behind him because when you're first introduced to him, and for like the first part of the movie, he's drunk and kind of an asshole and insufferable. And it's like, why do I want to watch a movie about this guy and his struggles?
Oh.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know to a certain extent McCready is like that in
Well, that's
The
exactly who
Thing.
it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's
Cabin, separate from everybody else.
that's what I heard. That's what I was picturing when you were describing him.
Yeah, but McCready's not. Maybe it's just because I like young Kurt Russell, but this is like.
He's not. If you watch the movie, he's not really an asshole to people. He just likes being on his own.
Yeah, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
This guy's just a dick.
Yeah, and that's the real issue.
Yeah.
Because someone wrote a screenwriting book that said there has to be conflict between characters constantly.
Right.
Watch the frigging thing.
So this movie owes a lot to The Thing.
Of course.
Because it has all of these like mutant creatures, and they're all physical effects, and so like elaborate puppets and things. The problem though is that the camera moves too much. I'm like, I get that it's a puppet and you can only shoot part of it at one time, but that doesn't mean you still can't put the camera down and let the action play out.
Yeah, and let us watch the animatronic, and then do some tricks in editing later if you want to speed things up, but let us see things as well.
Yeah, like I want to see this creature and its weird mutant face. Don't just show me, don't like cut into an eyeball and then a mandible or something like that. Like,
oh.
Yeah.
No, that's the worst.
That's a bit of a bummer. What happens? Oh, so the scientists just kind of discover this weird shit going on the mountainside. Meanwhile, there's a little delegation that's hiking up to them.
Oh.
And of course, you know, once the delegation gets there, the shit hits the fan, and everything just goes crazy. There is a doctor character who is completely useless. And you just want to like another character, she's the minister of something, and the doctor's freaking out, and she starts hitting him and slapping him. And you're like, yes, finally. You want to get in there and slap him around too, because that's what he deserves.
He's just been bothering you the whole movie.
God, he's so useless.
Oh.
So all in all, like not a terrible movie, and like some good creature effects.
Yeah, that's what was going to be my big question. Like, remember when we watched Harbinger Down, right?
I do.
And that movie was... What happened was they made The Thing remake. It was terrible. Oh, but it's actually a prequel. It's not a remake. Screw you. It's a remake. We all can see that it's a remake. Shut up. But anyway... a movie so dumb it doesn't understand that by the end of the movie you have to blow up the frigging spaceship, or it doesn't even pretend to coincide with the plot of the original. Such a dumb movie. Anyway, but they cut out all of the practical effects for that movie, right? And they replaced them all with CGI.
And they all looked amazing.
Yeah, no, I've seen the video. You can watch the videos on YouTube of what the effects look like, and they look great. But the studio freaked out, and they cut it all, and they put in CGI, so there could be lots of loud running around monsters instead of, like, creepy, you know, over...
Not what we're here for.
Exactly. That's not what we're here for in The Thing. We're not here for, like, things running around, flailing bladed tentacles everywhere. That's not what The Thing is. But anyway... So those guys went and they made their own movie, and they were like, we're going to do nothing but practical effects. And then we're going to light it so badly you're not going to see any of them.
And then we're going to shake the camera at it.
And it sounds like this happened again. Like, how do you keep...
It's better lit.
Okay, it's better lit, but the camera's, if anything, worse.
But the camera were, again, like, could have benefited from a tripod.
Again, if you want to see the best thing ever, you need to find a tripod, is go and watch the RoboCop remake. And watch the god-awful faux verite news camera work in every scene of that movie. And then wait until Michael Keaton is on screen. And you'll notice that the camera just sits down and looks at Michael Keaton. And I swear to God, on his first day, Michael Keaton was like, go out, buy a tripod, come back, and then we'll start filming. Because he's the only character who gets filmed in any kind of a sane way.
Whenever I think of the RoboCop remake, the only thing that comes to mind is when they have...
And you're gone again. Oh my god. All right. The only time where you were was the only thing I think of when I think of the RoboCop remake.
Okay.
All right.
So
So
come back in there.
no, I hear you. All right. So 10 seconds. The only thing I think of when I think of the RoboCop remake
Okay.
is where you were.
Yeah. The only thing I think of when I do think of the RoboCop remake, which happens more often than I like to admit, uh, is when they have, I guess, whatever the Ed 209s are, and that maybe they still call them Ed 209,
I think so.
in, I don't know where they are, Fallujah, someplace,
Yep.
and they're speaking English.
I know. It's a robot.
Come
You can
on.
program it with any language.
Any language you want.
And maybe they were trying to make a comment about how terrible the Americans are and how they think they can go and be.
No.
You know,
The
they're
only
not.
comment being made is that the filmmakers.
Oh,
don't
isn't it like
understand.
wait? Isn't it like Tehran and the message of the movie is that
that's-
America's finally got it around to invading Iran? I think that's what it was.
Maybe it was Tehran.
I think it was
still,
Tehran.
It's like,
but no, that doesn't change anything.
that
You're
doesn't change
absolutely
anything.
right.
Program your goddamn robots,
Robots to speak
look
Farsi.
like- Jesus
It's going to be
Christ.
really bad if they don't speak Farsi. I'm going to be very embarrassed.
Maybe that's why people are writing and screaming, because here come these robots speaking a language they don't understand.
That's true. If a bunch of robots showed up on the streets of my country pointing guns at me and speaking Korean, I'd be like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, come on. It's not that hard to plug in the English language to these robots. Likewise, it's not that hard to plug in Arabic. Oh, I really got to learn what language they speak in the Middle East. This makes me look bad.
Anyway,
No, I know. In the various countries.
moving right along.
Please, let's.
Tell me about exposure.
A couple goes to the a couple goes on a weekend getaway for what's supposed to be metaphorical horror, but then they forget to have metaphors. I was so excited for you to see this because
Damn.
I know it's so good. So it's this couple, they're going away for a weekend because basically she cheated on her husband and the husband beat her up. So he's violent and she's unfaithful. I'm like, maybe you what? Maybe you guys shouldn't work on your marriage. Maybe you guys should just not be married.
It's time to call it quits.
Especially now, I don't know how cell phones work. So tell me yes or no. Can you block someone from being able to text you? Yes or no?
Oh, I actually have no idea.
Okay, because she keeps getting text from the guy she cheated with.
I think
And that
you can
just
block a number.
and I'm like, if you really wanted to give this marriage a try, I feel like you would have blocked that number, lady. But anyway, so yeah, it is a 2-person thing. It is just the two of them out at the cabin, and then and the first night they're there, he gets lured outside. He gets hypnotized by something and lured outside in like this great old-timey visual effect where suddenly it's Evil Dead, and he opens the door and there's like smoke pouring in from outside and a green light shining on him.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like this really, it's such an old-timey, like, obviously low-budget effect that's kind of out of step with everything else about how the movie is shot, that I was charmed for a second. Like, is this going to turn into There's Nothing Out There? But no, it's not. It's not a comedy or anything. But yeah, and then, so basically what happens is he starts, he gets bitten by a weird lake monster when they try to go fishing, and he gets more and more angry and violent and jealous, and then it turns out there are monsters in the woods that turn people even more evil and prey on their mental state, and then he tries to kill her, and then she kills him, and that literally she kills him, and the movie stops right there. Like, ran out of film, stops abruptly.
Okay, so the movie doesn't end; it just stops.
Yeah, the movie doesn't end, it just stops, is the best way to describe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, it's like, you think that the emotional changes he's going through because of, him being co-opted by some sort of a hive mind tentacle beasts to live out in the woods is going to be more, what do you call it, like a metaphor for his increasing violence and abusiveness and blah, 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 blah. But it seemed like he was already pretty bad.
Well, if he's beating up his wife.
Yeah, to the point where it's like, so there's this scene where they drive out, and he keeps talking about how, like, their relationship is the most important thing to him, and blah, 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 blah. And, like, and so they're in bed, and it's the weirdest thing where stuff that bothers me in movies. So they get up to this cabin that was where his grandparents lived, before his grandfather murdered his grandmother, because he was also taken over by the, like, woods fungus or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's never clear exactly what the woods monster is. But anyway, they get there, and I'm like, and he's all like, I haven't been here in forever, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like,
the monster in that episode of Dark Place?
Oh, God.
That fungal thing?
The creeping moss from the shores of Shoggoth, that episode.
There you go.
But anyway, yes. It turns women into broccoli.
Yeah. The broccoli monster.
The broccoli monster. But anyway, and so they get up there, and he's talking about how he hasn't been there in so long, and blah, 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 good memories, but then, the grandparents died, and it's sad. And I'm looking at him like, did he, like, pay for someone to come up and get this place ready? Because it's like, the place is nicely clean and tidy, and the bed is already made, and I'm like, I feel like if people haven't been here in years, it's weird that it's in this good shape. But that's not the point. The point is they go to bed that first night, and they're like, oh, and so she's reading a magazine, and he's massaging her feet, and she's like, I'm suspicious about how nice you're being. Like, but the fact that you're being supportive and rubbing my feet. And he's like, I'm trying to be good and fix our marriage because I care about us. And I'm like, how bad was their relationship that the fact that he's listening to her and rubbing her feet seems like he must be up to something and something horrible is going on? Like,
yeah, right?
This is a terrible relationship. Do not try and save this relationship.
You're just better off.
You are better off apart. Especially because, and I mean, I'm not saying the film gets way too literal all the time, but, like, they have the whole scene of her trying to convince him that he loves her and not to turn into a weird fungus monster. And, of course, he can't control it. And then he is defeated. He is defeated by her saying, I'm always going to love you, blah, 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 but this marriage isn't going to work. And then she pulls the heart out of his chest.
What?
She literally pulls the heart out of his chest. Because apparently one of the side effects of being turned into a fungal monster is you don't have a rib cage anymore, and your skin is paper thin, and, like, your heart's not really connected to anything. Like, it's weird how daintily she reaches in and pulls out the heart. Because, again, they're more interested in the metaphor of his heart literally being broken than any of the world of the film making sense.
But who cares about his heart being broken? He is a literal monster.
He is a literal and figurative monster. So yeah, the film was such a mess. It was just such a mess, and I'm sad you didn't get to see it. In the way that I'm sure you're sad, I didn't get to see Blood Mountain.
Blood Glacier.
Blood Glacier is obviously what I meant to say.
Well, I'm glad I didn't get to see Exposure.
I know.
And happier now that I watched Blood Glacier.
Oh no, it's obviously the more entertaining film.
I think I came out ahead on this one, honestly. Yeah.
But it's like, oh god, you guys are so busy trying to do this metaphor, you forgot to make a movie.
Right.
All right, so yeah, that was. I keep saying the name wrong. I give up.
What do you
Exposure.
want to call it?
I keep calling it Obscure. It's Exposure. It's not great. Let's move on. Weirdly, it's not the winter when they get there. It's actually just kind of nice. I thought it was going to be the winter based on the description. Oh. I thought we were watching two, like, Canadian wilderness winter movies. But no, it's actually just kind of nice out in the woods. All right, so next up we have...
Black Mountainside.
We both watched this one.
Which we did both watch, yes.
Yay! Just confirming that now, right? You did, in fact, watch Black Mountain?
I did watch it, yes.
All right, go.
Archaeologists in northern Canada discover a prehistoric structure buried in the ground. Shortly after finding it, members of the team start hearing a voice, while others...
Once again. One more time. Our microphone has gone kaflooey.
Oh, I'm back.
It's okay. So just start take 5-10 seconds and just start the
Yeah, I
synopsis
don't
again.
have another one to plug in, unfortunately.
No, it's fine. I'm sure we're going to talk about this movie for 15 minutes. I'm sure it can last us 15 more minutes.
Well, I don't know. It's barely lasting 5. Oh, you know what? I do have one.
She's got another microphone, folks.
I
Let's give her a
do.
second. I'll press
Hold
pause on the
on.
recording.
Bear with me. I'm sorry, everybody on the stream. Oh my God, we certainly. Looks like I picked the wrong night to quit sniffing glue.
Good reference.
Thank you.
Nice
Like,
work.
oh my God.
You can do it.
I can do it. Well, it means like getting out of the chair. And
It's a whole ordeal.
it's a whole
I know.
thing.
There's literally one computer over there. Should be another microphone. Or is it being used?
No, I found another one.
All
It's
right.
not great. Hold on.
Do 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 do. I don't know what kind of. I mean, obviously that was supposed to be elevator music, but I don't know like what kind, or if that was supposed to be a specific elevator music piece. So is it racially insensitive that the guy who played Benny in The Mummy is in no way Middle Eastern? Just wondering about that, because, I was just thinking about brown face casting recently, and I thought The Mummy's actually a pretty famous example of that nobody ever talks about. That's a lot of red ants. In case you're wondering, yes, the microphone is capable of making loud crackling sounds. That is all I can say for sure about it so far. And now, eerie silence. Hey, I gotcha! I'm hearing heavy breathing.
Hello?
We're hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Hello, hello.
She cannot hear me. I should probably tell her that on the thing.
Man.
Hold on, I can hear you. Wait, why am I telling that? We've already established she can't hear me. Alright, hold on. Okay, you cannot hear me. Wow, I didn't have that bad typing. It's been worse, is what I'm saying. Anyway, while we're waiting on her, Senran Kagura Burst Renewal. It's fantastic. Just really good gameplay. They've added in when you're going to be attacked meters, so you can more effectively. There we go. What do you call it? First obvious. First. Yeah, this is fantastic. But anyway, yes, they've made it so you can counter easily, so that's great. They've added in markers when you're being attacked so you can counter effectively. It's pretty badass, really. And I know you're saying, oh, well, that makes it too easy. And I'm like, yeah, but do you want a Senran Kagura game to be the most challenging video game you play this year? I don't think you do. I think you just want to have an awesome time battling shinobi in ridiculous circumstances with, oh my god, really overwrought plots. So I've never understood before why Ikaruga has such a rough time. Like, she's so serious, she's so strict, she's so professional. Like, what is her deal? And now I found out what her deal is. And, oof. What a sad backstory. She's part of the... she is part of the most powerful and respected ninja family in all of Japan, right? Which is great. But the thing is, she's not. They're this family that has passed down a legendary sword, the sword she uses in the game, throughout generation after generation after generation. Here's the problem: she is. Oh, is she back? I just heard a crackle. All right, she'll be back soon. Anyway, so the sword that she uses is the family heirloom sword. The problem is she's not actually part of their bloodline. She is a distant cousin of that family, barely related at all. The family only had one son, and he's terrible at being a ninja. So bad he couldn't even get into ninja high school. And so they're like, now we're not going to have anyone to give the sword to. Nobody's going to keep the family line going. This is a disaster. So they found out there was a distant cousin of a poor and unimportant part of the family line who had this daughter who was the best at ninjaing, and they're like, boom, we're adopting her. And that is where all of her stuff comes from, not feeling like she's honestly part of the important bloodline of this family that now, and so her adopted brother is also hugely resentful and forever trying to attack her and steal the family sword that is his birthright back. But of course he doesn't have a chance because she's a supernatural ninja and he's just terrible at everything. So there's some light comedy, and it's also very tragic. What I'm saying is, once again, oh, has she messaged me? Once again.
A while ago.
Oh, sorry. Yay, you're
Hear
back.
me mucking about and muttering and.
We heard some crackling. That's all we heard. We heard some crackling.
Okay.
That
Sorry, everyone. Normally we're way more.
This is
together.
Again. It's amazing that this is the one we're broadcasting.
Right? Like, could it get any worse? Honestly,
it would be hard. All right. So yeah, I just told an extensive story about Senran Kagura, which is a great series. And I think everyone should check out if they enjoy busty high school ninja sword fights.
Oh, well, who doesn't?
I've yet to meet anyone.
Right?
Like, literally.
And, when you do, you don't want to know that person.
Why would you?
Great.
What is it from What About Bob? Two types of people in the world. People who like Neil Diamond and people who don't like Neil Diamond.
Why do you remember anything
just
about that movie?
Because you said you wouldn't want to know them, and I was just thinking about how the funny idea that you can invariably break down the world into two groups of people around every subject, and it's always meaningless. That came up in What About Bob?
I was thinking about something similar yesterday on my walk home.
Yeah.
That, two types of in the world. Or no, like, are you a Beatles person or an Elvis person? That kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
And if I were asked that question, my answer would be something like, well, seeing as how I was born after 1970.
Yes. I'm neither.
Neither. Exactly.
Yeah, and what was the, and I always remember the parody one, I don't remember what it's from, which was, there are two types of people in the world. People who use overly broad binary systems to divide people, and people who don't. I don't remember what that was from, but I loved that.
Yeah, there's a similar one about binary.
Okay.
I'm not even going to attempt to
figure out what it was.
It was. But
all right. So I'm going to start recording again. 10 seconds, and then start the introduction again.
Christ.
I know. You got a different microphone. We're going to be fine.
No, it's the same one.
Oh, it's the same one? I thought you had a different one.
I couldn't get the other one to work.
Oh, so sad. All right.
Surrounded by broken microphones.
Let us pin all our hopes on this one. Your new microphone is going to be USB, by the way, so it should be more stable.
This one's USB. It's just old. That's the problem.
All right, here we go. 10 sec. Oh, wait. Okay, 10 seconds. After you finish laughing, 10 seconds.
Black Mountainside. Chosen because it's set in Canada and features archaeologists. For fuck's sake.
What's happening?
Did it crap out again?
No, I can hear you fine.
Oh, did you hear me before?
Yeah, about set on the mountainside. Yeah, I
Yeah,
heard
you
that.
didn't say anything.
Well, I thought you were going to read the whole synopsis.
Oh, and I was waiting for you to like interject with something.
And now you're just assuming there are problems with the headset.
Not normally that quiet.
No, I'm not. I was just after all of that, I was just going to let you talk. But
God.
that one's on me. All right, that one's on me. That was my bad. That was my bad.
Should
my
I
fault that time.
synopsize now?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Archaeologists in northern Canada discover a prehistoric structure buried in the ground. Shortly after finding it, members of the team start hearing a voice, while others indulge in spontaneous acts of violence.
So yeah, it's kind of, I think this paired well. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but it really does seem like this would have paired well with Blood Glacier. Because this one also gets a very severe Thing vibe.
So our initial plan to watch this and Blood Glacier was, I think, the better idea than what I had, which was to watch
2 Canadian wilderness movies. So
that's
yeah.
on me.
That one is on you. So yeah, it's definitely got a Thing vibe. It's about the brutal coal. It's about just dudes working on a scientific project out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
So yeah, it is very on point. It's very The Thing related, and it's got except
got
not
all that stuff going for it. All dudes, isolation,
yeah,
wintertime, which we'll get to. But when it comes to the actual mutation, let's call it,
yeah,
the movie sort of forgets about that part.
It promises something it's not going to deliver.
Yes, which is really frustrating.
Yeah.
And then it gives us something else, which is totally cool, and I'm down with it, but it doesn't develop it properly.
It's weird because the Deer God has frequently come up on the Hidden Object Guru YouTube channel. We talk about the Deer God a lot. So I was like, oh yeah.
Have I been there for that? Because I don't remember those discussions.
No, you haven't.
Okay.
No. There was a game called The Deer God, and then there was a mystery game we were playing where, like, spooky stuff kept happening, and there was always a deer around, and we're like, oh, the deer's behind it. Obviously, the Deer God has sent his messenger in the form of this random deer who keeps causing problems for the main character. So it was a nice thing for me, because of my previous history with the Deer God, to see the Deer God come up so extensively in this. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it does... But here's the thing. It promises alien mutations, then it takes a hard left turn into Deer God territory, but doesn't really do much with either one of them.
Yes.
And I think that's the movie's biggest problem. That the most interesting thing in the movie happens when there is 1 minute of movie left. And that is a guy coming face to face with the Deer God.
Oh, yeah.
And the Deer God being oblique about everything, because as a god, he doesn't have to be specific about anything.
Yeah, but as a movie...
you kind of do.
You kind of need to give us something to work with.
Well, and as you were pointing out, I know what the Thing wants.
Yeah.
I know what the Thing wants, and that's why... Okay, they're doing Lovecraftian horror. They're doing cosmic horror.
That's great. Love
That's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
But within those Lovecraftian, like, how do I put this? Within Lovecraftian horror, even within cosmic horror, there are always characters who want things, right, coming into conflict with each other. Like, as much as it seems like we're looking at stories about a cold and indifferent universe who doesn't care whether we live or die, within those narratives, there are always people trying to make things happen, and people who don't want those things to happen, and those people are coming into conflict. Here, we're all just kind of hanging out with the victims of the Deer God. Yes. Or, depending on how you want to interpret it, maybe people with a virus that the Deer God doesn't want to have spread?
No, I would think that...
Because the Deer God seems weirdly psyched that nobody leave the camp.
Yeah, but that doesn't really jive with...
everything the Deer God otherwise says and does.
Anything else that happens in the entire movie.
No. Except, but again, the Deer God does want people to kill each other and doesn't want people to leave the camp. That is true. Like, from what the deer god does and says, the deer god doesn't want to let people leave in the camp. So it's possible the deer god didn't make the virus and
so
doesn't want the virus spreading.
The deer god just wants to fuck with people, and you have a mutant alien virus.
That's not related to the deer god.
Completely unrelated to the
No, I mean, in the sense that the deer god did create everything. He says so. He does say he created everything, so he did create the mutant alien virus.
But he could just be bragging. I mean, what do we know?
We don't know.
A deer.
That's
so
we're talking to a deer who walks around on his hind
legs. That's
By the way, great use of
creepy as fuck.
So creepy. That first scene where the deer god is just there at the edge of the woods,
looking at,
just staring at you, and I'm like, what am I supposed to be seeing? Right. And then the film refuses to give us a close up,
which is great. I love
such a good choice. Oh no, the deer god is handled fantastically, visually speaking.
Yes.
But the rest of it is a little iffy. Because it's like, I genuinely don't know what these characters want, and only right at the end of the movie do they come into clear conflict with each other.
Well, they want to go home.
Yeah.
Is what they want.
Yes. That's true. They all do want to go home.
Okay, I want to get into the problems with this movie.
No, let's get right into it. The good things about the movie is atmosphere. I really do like how they shoot this tiny camp at the edge of the Northwest Territories. They describe that it is the farthest north of any research camp that the Canadian government has set up, which is nice.
I think we're in the Yukon.
Oh, no, you're right. They are in the Yukon.
Because they talk about proximity to Alaska.
That's true. They say Alaska's right over there. You're right. So they're in the Yukon. They're as far north and west as you can go and still be inside Canada. And it is nightmarishly hard to get anything there. The closest thing is a native reservation, which is 100 miles south. It's weird that they keep saying miles.
90 miles. It's 90 miles. I'm like, you're in Canada. It's
Why do you keep saying miles? Say 150 kilometers. It sounds more impressive than 90 miles, because it's over 100, even if it's the same distance. But anyway, so what I'm saying is, I want to say the good stuff about the movie first, because there's plenty to complain about. You're absolutely right. But I just want to say, I really did. Dear God's creepy. Cinematography is very good. They captured... isn't it weird that this film would, I think, do a better job of capturing night in the Arctic better than Hold the Dark, a movie which is theoretically about how awful night is in the Arctic?
I don't know about that.
I was a little more dread-filled in these night scenes than I was in Hold the Dark.
I don't know if I'd go quite that far. Hold the Dark doesn't have a lot of night scenes anyway. Even though they make a point of saying they only get like 5 hours of daylight. The
entire movie only takes place within those 5-hour windows.
But what I will say about this movie is that these sort of long quiet periods are punctuated by moments of extreme violence or the aftermath of violence, and I think that's done extremely well.
Oh yeah, because it takes like the build up, because after the first time something really brutal happens, it's shocking.
And it happens quick. Like you don't. There's not foreshadowing. That's not the word I'm looking for. Telegraphing.
No.
You don't know this shit's gonna happen. It just all of a sudden happens, and you're in the moment with the characters. Like, oh my god.
And then right after that, we go back to the slow burn, but now you know what the stakes are, so that wait for the next one is far more dramatic than when you had no idea it was coming.
The problem, though, is that the film I don't think they do a good job fanning the flames, so to speak.
Okay.
So there's like the first moment of violence, you're like, holy shit, this is pretty intense.
What kind of movie is this?
You're waiting for the next version of that to happen, and it takes too long.
It does. And
so you're sort of like, okay, so you have this delightful anticipation, but then you're waiting too long, and it's just sort of, you're not really that interested for a while.
By the time it gets
By
there.
the time you get there. Meanwhile,
You've checked out.
You've sort of checked out, and the movie kind of forgets about something really important.
That's
Talking
true.
about the arm.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't really get a good sense of the passage of time, which is
No.
a bit of an issue.
And that's a pretty big problem, yeah.
Yeah, because at one point, a guy gets his arm chopped off because there's something inside it.
Yeah,
You can all
it is
see
visibly moving around in
there is
there.
something inside his fucking arm, and then it's like at least half an hour goes by before they ever address what was in the arm. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Why this? No, this is your first order of business.
Yep.
After you cauterize his stump, you cut open that arm.
Find out why it was
Don't
pulsating.
Wait 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And that is a big problem.
Yeah.
Especially when what was in the arm is, like, he's turning into an army of squids.
Something weird that doesn't make any sense and is
Yeah.
never revisited. Yes.
Yeah, like, I feel like that conversation should have changed everyone's interaction for the rest of the movie.
Well, that's just it. So it's like, well, wait a minute. This guy is turning into something not human.
Yep.
It's like, okay, well, does that mean everybody else is going to start changing? Nope.
Nope. No, that's
I mean,
never
it's
going to
gonna-
be mentioned again.
It's never going to come up. We're just going to sit here and cool our heels until, people down south realize that, we're overdue for our flights out of here to go home. What? No.
Yeah. Like, and the thing is, I don't understand why. So they're expecting a supply drop, right?
Yep.
They're expecting a supply drop, and it doesn't arrive.
Yeah.
And there are
Radio's
3 more weeks of the movie before, like, they decide maybe we should get to a phone.
No, it's time. As soon as your supply job doesn't come and your radio
Doesn't work, go get to a phone.
time to pack up and leave.
Yeah, you don't need this 3 weeks of the story. They're like, I wonder how much longer we can hold out, before we completely run out of gas and food. And I'm like, 2 more weeks. And then 2 more weeks pass within the movie. And I'm like, here's how winter works. It's getting colder and the night's getting longer every day. The minute you realize there's a problem, go for help. And they needed an external force of some kind to keep them from going for help. Or the movie didn't really need to take place over, like, a full month.
No, it didn't. Well, okay, so here's the thing. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Thing number 1. You can't have a 5-month field season in northern Canada. It's simply not possible.
Right. When do they lock up the field?
Well, here's the thing. Thing number 2, if you're that far north by November, you're in deep, dark winter.
Yeah, so you just can't dig.
You can't dig. Your field season in that part of the country is like a couple of weeks in July. All right, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you understand what I'm driving at.
Yeah, no, you
This
want to
movie
be as close to the
begins-
summer solstice as possible. In
Yeah, this
November.
movie begins at the end of November.
Well, beginning
I'm
of
like,
November, but yes.
There is no way that
They
he
would
be
still
running.
be out there. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought, because I'm like...
No way.
Because the thing is, and I know you have to make
And you
accommodations
don't
for
need to
filming.
fly in somebody from fucking U of T to northern Yukon. You can find a Clovis expert across the country. Maybe
But what-
he's foremost in the field.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But what bothered
Point
me,
is-
right? What bothered me in that thing is, as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, wait a minute, November? Like, how is it? And they keep talking about how cold it is. I'm like, why are they trying to dig? Shouldn't the ground be like 6 inches of ice
Yeah.
at this point? Like, why are they
Yeah.
trying to dig?
I mean, I've dug in the winter. I was doing CRM,
Yeah.
which is contract archaeology, and you
Okay.
dig until the ground freezes. And so we were digging in the snow in like November and December, but it's because we still could test pit.
Yeah, but you weren't.
But
You
this
weren't
is-
at the very tip of Canada.
This is outside of Toronto, so
Yes. Honestly,
I
we.
was in friggin' northern Yukon territory. So
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like, it's weird, and I know it's the limitations of filming that create this problem, but They're
But there
like,
are other ways to isolate.
it's 50 below out there. And I'm like, it is obviously not 50 below
you're
out
walking
there.
around, you've obviously filmed this in the springtime.
Yeah, like, again, we've all seen, do you want to see what cold looks like? Watch The Thing. Every time, watch The Thing. Every time they're going to go outside, they like, let's put on 8 layers of clothing and goggles and no exposed skin. And that's 30 below.
But that's just because he's a badass.
He's a badass, yeah. And that was only 30 below. This is another 20 below that. Your eyeballs will freeze.
There are other ways you can isolate your cast.
Oh yeah, totally.
You don't have to go to such extremes.
No,
so,
it reaches a point of ridiculousness.
It really does. So there's that, and then there's this. So the film had an archaeological consultant, and I don't know if she sucked or they didn't listen
to her. Jesus!
But
oh, I was hoping this was going to get real, and this is absolutely getting real.
Archaeology is not great. At least they say they didn't carbon date the structure because
it's
that's
stone.
Impossible.
Yeah.
But they say they carbon dated the matrix or the sediment, which
around it
isn't correct.
Oh.
It would have been a different type of dating. But that's just
whatever.
Me. Whatever.
That's one of those things where I feel like the archaeology consultant, would have said something.
This is optical.
And then the filmmaker was like, yeah, but people don't know that word, so we're just going to say carbon dating. It's like, well, then why am I even here?
Cassie Margon dating is.
And then she was like, well, why am I even here? And they're like, we paid you the check. Yeah, like, we already gave you the check, so just hang out another couple of weeks. It's fine.
But then they go on and on about Clovis.
What is Clovis?
Okay, so I did not study prehistoric North American archaeology. I did prehistoric European archaeology and then a lot of Assyriology. I know a little bit about Clovis and Paleo-Indian, but like not enough to speak about it with any authority. So I looked it up.
Okay, yay.
So the Clovis culture dates to around 12,000-ish years ago. So it's old.
Yeah.
And they're talking about what this structure is pre-Clovis, so before 12,000.
Well, they say 13,000 years ago.
13,000. Well, so if Clovis is like roughly 13,200 to 12,900.
Okay.
So there is this, it sort of bothered me again because they bring in this Clovis expert to talk about, the migration of people through the ice-free corridor, which is further inland from the coast. And like, how is it possible that they could have something that's kind of Mesoamerican, which comes after Clovis, in this part of the country at this point in time? It's like, well, you can't. And I have to wonder why the writers went with that to begin with, when you have like interesting theories about earlier cultures, bringing their lithics into this part of the world. So there's this whole theory about the Solutrean. I'm not going to get into it. It's much earlier. That's all you need to know. That is never discussed. So you're talking. So they make a big deal about like the drawings, or no, they dig up a pot. Okay, well, not even going to get into that.
Okay.
They dig up a pot and it has some decoration on it. And the archaeologists talk about, well, they think the decoration looks kind of Mesoamerican, but Mesoamerican is from a later point in history, and it's not possible for this Clovis culture to have Mesoamerican art.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that they didn't have fucking pots, but that's
another whole conversation.
Maybe they did, but no, they didn't. I'm getting too deep into this.
You are so much deeper than the film can bear.
So all I'm saying is that the archaeology is not great. It would have been an easy fix, and it would have satisfied a big jerk like me, and it would have been easy for the audience to understand, because it sort of hinges on this idea of Clovis culture and that everybody understands what Clovis is. It's like, why? If They don't. I'm telling you, most people watching this movie don't know what that is.
I've never heard of it.
Exactly. So go nuts with it. Don't.
Wow.
Anyway, it bothered me so much because
Obviously.
I'm an academic snob. So.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
God.
You're allowed to ask for accuracy.
I just sound like an asshole, basically, giving this like low.
Why did you get everything wrong in your movie?
I know.
Couldn't you have tried doing something right?
So compound that with the fact that they don't fucking leave as soon as things start going sideways.
That's the thing, and that's like, and the film offers no theories or explanations for why their radio stops working either, and why did the supply drop never come?
No, they just want to isolate these people,
but they don't come up with any ways to do it.
Doing that,
yeah. That is a big problem in the movie.
Yeah,
that there's just no attempt to do it in a believable or reasonable way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not complicated to strand these people. You know, maybe have it take place during a friggin' blizzard, or, you know, some say there's a blizzard south of here, it's going to last a week, and the movie takes place over that week. You know?
Right?
There, I've solved your plot problem.
Or just take a pay, like, you borrowed everything else from the thing, why not have someone go nuts and destroy the radio?
Yeah.
Hey, there's an idea.
Guy destroys the radio. And I just I thought that's going to be what was happening, but then they demonstrate that the radio does in fact work over and over again. Like, okay. Well, yeah, somebody mysteriously killed a cat. He can't also destroy the radio?
And that never comes up again.
Which is weird.
Also, the movie loses track of how many people are up there because there's a cook.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what happened to the cook? Did he leave with the natives?
Once more to be like, hey, what's going on, guys? And the third time to get killed.
Yeah, and then he's just not in the movie for most of the movie.
And when they talk about how all of their workers ran away,
yeah,
it's like, okay, well, maybe they know something that you don't. But that's like, but they didn't run south. They ran north. I'm like, okay, well, let's maybe follow those footsteps, see
if they went somewhere.
They went somewhere.
And it's a weird editing thing where they like all of the natives ran off. Or okay, and then they're like, and then 2 more days pass, and then we see them following the footprints of the guys who ran off. I'm like, it didn't snow at all in those 2 days? Shouldn't you have been checking where those guys went the day they left? It's very weird. Yeah.
Like, all the decisions they make. Again, it's just these desperate attempts to isolate the cast when you're just
I honestly don't understand why this film has to take place over a month.
No, I think, again, just to give you the sense of being alone in the wilderness.
Yeah, you know what? A week or 2 is fine for that.
Yeah.
Like, because they've got one guy who doesn't go to sleep for 5 days, and then or 4 days, and then he starts killing people because he has a psychotic break, or the dear God told him to. It's never clear, but anyway, right? But like, he can stay up for 4 days at any point of the movie. Like, if they got cut off from, like, if they're up there and spooky things start happening, and then all of their crew leaves after a week of them being there into the story, which is about when it happens, right? Then all of the really nasty stuff can happen over like 8 days. It doesn't have to take place over 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because literally the moment you don't get your supplies, like, and your radio's dead.
Start packing to leave.
Yeah. Like, well, what am I supposed to do for the next, I don't know how long there are between supply drops, like 3 weeks or whatever, but like, no, like, if my supplies aren't here and I can't talk to anyone by radio, it's time to go. It's not complicated. Of course, in the thing, like, they're so far inland that, you know, if they don't have that helicopter, they're screwed.
Yeah, well, they have their own helicopter. But the thing is, I don't know if you noticed this, but where they filmed, there's actually a snowmobile, and it's in a couple of the shots.
I saw it, yeah. I saw the snowmobile.
Clearly, they're not supposed to have one, otherwise they would have just
taken it.
Snowmobiled out of there.
Well, again, that's not even a bad fix. Just have the native workers take the snowmobile home.
Right.
It's not hard to fix any of these problems.
Like, pour out all the gasoline. Like,
yeah. Well, no, but then you get them in way too dire trouble because,
That's true, because they need gas.
they
for
need
dinner.
gasoline to live.
Also, I'd like to point out you can't travel 90 miles in a day and a half in the snow.
No, you really can't.
It's not possible.
No, like, do you see how deep that snow is?
And you don't have snowshoes.
Nope. You're
No.
having a rough time there, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the movie, like, I want to call it Escapade. Escape? No. What was the movie you watched? No, it's not called Obscure.
Oh my god. Exposure.
Exposure.
You know, the movie Escapade. That movie you watched, Escapade.
As you say, the movie just stops.
Oh, that pissed me off so much.
This movie just stops.
Ah, and the writer director is so clever. Get it? I mentioned the bear traps an hour ago. Aren't I clever? Screw you, though.
No, you're not. Fuck
You're
off.
not clever. Because you're like, get it? If I layer in this line of dialogue, I don't have to write an ending for my movie. And then 2 middle fingers got raised simultaneously. That is honestly like putting a line in the dialogue earlier, just explaining that sometimes cameras run out of film.
But we're shooting on red. It's not like the Kids Advise where they quite literally just ran out of film.
I know. Sometimes you run out of space on a SD card.
SD card, and you just can't buy another one for some
Well, you're up
reason.
in the Arctic. You can't get another. No, they're in
That's why they
Burnaby.
drop
Like,
SD cards because your radios don't work.
there you go. Oh. The thing is, I really did love. I mean, we've been very mean to this movie, but I really did love the Dear God.
No,
Like,
the
I
Dear
did.
God was great.
So
Didn't
good.
understand a single word of what it said.
Yeah. By the way, if you're watching this on Prime, I wish you luck because it does not have subtitles. When the Dear God started talking, I'm like, is this what people complained about when Bane was talking? Because I understood Bane fine, but I'm having real trouble with what the Dear God is saying. So I go to turn on the subtitles, and there aren't any.
No, the first time he spoke, it was a little garbled. And like,
Yeah.
okay, no, I understand what he's saying, but what he's saying doesn't make any sense.
No, I had real trouble understanding what he was saying. A bunch of times in that movie, he speaks so. I killed them all. That kind of stuff. But no, he talks gibberish. He also talks gibberish, and what he says doesn't make any sense. And he's a fun character. But at the same time, oh my god.
I feel like this movie kind of didn't really know where it was going.
That's definitely true.
Really what story it wanted to tell. It had sort of two different ideas. It had this Dear God idea that seems to be connected with this weird structure that's never explored or explained at all.
No.
And then you have this weird cephalopod mutation that also isn't explained. So
there's two layers of nonsense happening.
Yeah.
No, and like I said, there's a bunch of creepy stuff in this movie, and there's some effective use of like going from 0 to 100 in terms of violence, but structurally it's broken. As you say, the science makes no sense.
Sorry.
So fundamentally, it's not really worth your time, but thumbs up on that use of Dear God, everybody. Thumbs up on the Dear God.
Thumbs up on the Dear God, middle finger up on the ending.
The stopping, really.
Stopping, yes, you're right.
Where the movie stops. Okay, so that's that. Do you have any narcissism you want to watch?
No.
You're good. Okay. So that's no narcissism for you to watch. I'd say people to check out the Hidden Object Guru channel, but I've already done that enough, and we're actually on the Hidden Object Guru channel right now.
I guess if this is your first time, maybe go back and listen to some other episodes of the AVOD where we have a little bit
Much better
together.
produced. Yeah, much better produced episodes of the AVOD. Literally any other episode of the AVOD.
I'd say maybe skip the first 50 or so.
Yeah, skip the suit. No, they're not great. We had no idea what we were doing.
Hit our stride around episode 62. So, and we're,
It's a very arbitrary number to have picked.
Thank you.
Or was 62 a specific episode?
I don't remember that far
Seriously,
back.
we just breezed past our 10th anniversary without mentioning it once on the show. It didn't come up at all. Because Dead Space was having its 10th anniversary. I'm like, wait, wasn't I playing Dead Space when we recorded the AVOD? I wasn't. Okay, 10th anniversary. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. It is. Anyway, so yes, there's some narcissism to watch. Our catalog of episodes. There's a lot of them. I recommend our breakdown of the entire series, Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, those are a good couple of episodes, as is our breakdown of Jigsaw.
We did Nightmare as well.
Yeah. We've done a number of breakdowns of entire series.
Yeah.
And oh god. Now we never did get around to covering Wishmaster. Oh no, we did do Wishmaster.
We did do Wishmaster.
I did we ever get around to covering
Wishmaster 4?
We love Wishmaster 4 so much. It's 80 times better than it has any right to be.
Oh my god, yes.
It's so good.
For no reason.
No, no, because it's so much stranger than it has any right to be. Like, it takes a turn that there's no reason for the film to take, and I love it. They're like, we're making the fourth Wishmaster. Let's just try something. And they did, and thank you. Thank you for trying that. All right, so yes, there's plenty of place to see our stuff. We're going to plug our other podcasts soon. We all have so many.
Too many.
Too many, if anything. So yes, we will... is there any other way to get in touch with us?
You can visit the AVOD's blog at theavod.com. You can leave us a comment there and tell us about what you think is going on in Black Mountainside. You can send us an email at theavod@gmail.com. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
And I'm going to encourage you to do all of those things. So until next time, I've been Count Vargelon.
I've been DM.
Thanks for watching and have yourselves a great evening.
Good night.
Technical difficulties, the episode.
Oh my god.
How?
Well, clearly it's me. But...
Well, no, we know it's you, and both the getting the movie wrong and the technical difficulty. It's all you.
God.
There is no debating who it is.
It's all coming apart.
How? How though? All right. Let's see if anyone stuck around.
Seriously.
Some people stuck around.
Oh wow! Hooray!
Wow. They have not. No, they're still. No, they haven't commented in ages. So I think they just left it on while they were doing something else.
Checked out. I can't blame them. Honestly,
I do not blame them at all. Wow. That is crazy.
But maybe we should stream more often when we do this.
I really think we should. We'll get there. Damn though. It's crazy. All right. It really is. Oh my god. Hans is still here. Hans stuck around. Thank you, Hans.
Thanks, Hans. We
appreciate it. I don't know when DM is going to be back. We had to figure out when you got a day free to talk the slasher. The slasher VR thing.
I'm gonna pitch maybe Sunday.
Maybe
as a possibility. Okay.
Let's assume maybe Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, let's both pencil in Sunday.
Sure.
Yeah. We are down 2 subscribers from where we started the podcast. I'm not saying 2 people heard us talking. I'm sure it's unrelated,
No.
But it is entirely possible that 2 people heard all of that and were like, unsubscribe to channel.
You know what? I can't blame them.
No, I don't for a second. Not for 1 second do I blame them. Wow, that definitely happened.
How many did you have to start with?
A lot.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not like those were my 9th and 10th subscribers and I've lost 20% of my viewer base. Or something like that. I'm just saying. Subscriber counts always fluctuate, so it's not strange, but I just find it funny that we lost 2 during that.
Doing this. Yeah.
Oh my god. All right. So I'm just going to sign off the stream. Thank you for everybody who stuck through this, which I guess means I'm thanking Hans. And I hope everyone who dropped by wasn't too alienated by the experience or traumatized.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that all happened.
I'm done apologizing.
You shouldn't. And Hans says happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're right. I was about to say she says thank you. You can hear her. It's fine. Even I have forgotten how this stuff works.
Good job.
Oh, thanks, Phoenix. All right, so I will see y'all back here tomorrow, where we're going to be back at the normal stream time, playing more Return of the Obra Dinn, because we're going to find out what's going on with that thing that I didn't want to say on the stream. I can say it now, because DM is not going to load up that game, so I can just tell you what it was. All right, so at the beginning of the game, you get a bunch of people. You find out there was a murder on the ship, like a guy stole like this shining stone looking thing that it turns out is a seashell, right, from the ship, and he stabbed a witness, and then one of the foreigners who was transporting the seashell got framed for the crime, and he got executed for murder, right? And so you think, okay, it's drama, and then later they get attacked by this kraken, and you're like, okay, that's weird. Mm-hmm. So then, you see later that the guy who stabbed the dude and stole the seashell also kidnapped the foreigners and, like, shot a guy, and they escaped on some boats. So you're like, what the hell is this? And so you fast forward, and then you get a little farther on, and the ship is being attacked by frigging giant spider crabs that have weird long-haired ghouls riding them, throwing harpoons.
Wow.
And you find out that something is being held captive in the hold, and that's what the spider crabs are looking for. And you get a little further in the game, and it turns out that, like, frigging the Shadow over Innsmouth, the guy stole the seashell to go out in the oceans and summon mermaids to kidnap them and all of their jewelry and shells. And he brought back mermaids to the ship. So the game just gets crazier and crazier the farther you get. I know, right? Like, the further you get into the game, the crazier the situation gets. And the plot is always, your only job is to figure out, so you know the name of the passenger list, right? Like, you have the manifest, and you can find out, and you get these vignettes. So you never see motion, you just see a vignette of what has happened. So you get there, and your job is to, based on what people say and what's happening and how they're dressed and a bunch of stuff, you have to figure out, okay, which face is which name, and how did they die? And that's all you ever have to figure out. Which face is which name is how do you die, but the method of figuring out is just seeing these increasingly bizarre and absurd vignettes as you go through it. So yeah, it's pretty incredible. And I would encourage, I like, maybe look at a bit of one of the videos, because it is nuts and it is amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the spider crab things are so creepy looking. Oh my god, like nightmare creatures. Alright, so I'm wrapping up the stream here. Thanks everybody who dropped by. I'll see you back here tomorrow for more Obra Dinn. But until then, lates!